guys. One last time for old time's sakes. Well, that was a fun project. Ooh, look what I got. It's full. Be worth a lot of money someday. I'm going to probably tear the rest of this bench out just for some extra lumber for down the road. Then of course I can get my hardware back. I do still have the electricity hooked up. I got all this done in a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I got a late start on Saturday, imagine that. It's funny, this is one of those deals where everyone says, oh, the room looks way bigger once everything's out of it. To me, honestly, somehow it looks smaller. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I get what people say. You know, I ran into that problem with my own garage when I first bought the place. But to me, this still seems very small. It actually, like I said, it almost feels a little smaller than it was. I guess because I did a half decent job of organizing and putting everything in its place. That thing is worth at least $1. I know I've mentioned that I'm not ignorant to the fact that this is a perfectly good little workshop for somebody, but some of the bad and ugly about this, you can see, had some roof problems over here. Nothing that can't be quickly remedied. This whole side of the building, this whole side of the building is slanting downwards, and this floor is extremely brittle. And this, if you remember, was the side where all the metal was on. It would not take much to just punch through this floor by standing in certain sections. And if you look over here, I mean, it's relatively dry over here. Same thing over here on this side. If we come over here, oh, cat's back. We come over here to this side, still relatively dry, but then we get to over here, and it is extremely damp. And it actually looked worse the other night. I don't know how well all this is going to show up on camera, but you can see everything over on this side is just completely damp. The cat's knocking into me. Now, that has a bit to do with how high the ground is on this side. So a lot of that has to do with, even though this is raised up on cinder block, the ground over the years has slightly risen up. This wasn't me raising it up, it was just all the sediment and everything coming downhill kind of eroded this upwards. This whole side of the building is kind of sinking inwards a little bit because that 2x4 it's resting on is about deteriorated. So I mean, that's something that, of course, yes, with a ton of work that can be fixed, but that would be a lot of work. This whole wall would have to come down. I'd have to build some kind of header and support system on some jacks and just rebuild this whole side of the structure. And again, I never really had any intent of doing that. You see right where the two buildings meet? It looks like it's falling inwards. If you go up, you can kind of see it's, you might be able to tell. You see how this side looks like it's bowing out, like the whole building is trying to fall to the left. That's, believe it or not, is more of an optical illusion than the building falling in, trying to fall over. What had happened, and I figured this out when I was replacing most of this and redoing the whole roof. When they built this building, sistered up to the shed, they're not squared to each other. That's all that is. Oh. It's kind of an optical illusion. So guys, for example, imagine this is the shed and then this is the addition. Basically, it's doing one of these. That's kind of how they built it. It might not be to that extreme, but when you're off a little bit on one end, it's going to look quite a bit different on the other. So that's why it looks like that. It does look like this side of the building is kind of tilting inwards slightly. It probably is. I really don't know. I think this shed was built when the house was built. It is the same color. The original paint in here is the original color of the paint on the inside of the house. So it was definitely around the same time. These long, wide tongue and groove planks, you don't see that anymore. Also, when it rains heavy, I redid the flashing on the outside. You can actually see a little bit of it sticking up at the bottom there. I do occasionally get water in here. After I did the flashing, obviously, it was a lot better. but sometimes the water will actually get in and when it's really bad. So it's not perfect, guys. It's structurally sound, nothing that can't be braced up and I mean, I walk on this roof all the time when I'm cleaning the gutter out on the other side of it, so. But it's about to get tore down. Yep. See, it doesn't take much. It might be hard to see on the camera, but you can tell the angle that 2x4 is. Yeah, it's all that weight pressing down on that wood as it got softer and softer and softer, and it's why this whole side of the building is leaning. And now the cat is in there. Well, guys, one last thing to do. All right, guys, I wasn't kidding. Guys will be here in about 20 minutes. I forgot I had done that. Cool little design. You can still see the handprints for when they were installing those things. Well, it did its job.